Welcome to the mining team. I'll be your trainer for this video now that you signed that contract that makes leaving us impossible. Now, let's get started with what you have. You have this plot of land that you can build on. We like to call it your production plot or industrial plot, whatever name that fits your style. On this plot, you can build your machines and have something called a setup, which is your factory. Before we get into what these items are, let's learn how to place down, rotate, and remove these machines. To place down, you can press E on your keyboard and select what item you want, and it should pop up like this. Once you see silhouette, left click to place it down. To rotate it, you can press R on your keyboard. Now if you make a mistake in your setup, there's the option to remove it. You can press Q to withdraw it, or if you don't want the machinery since it's not up to date, you can press X to sell it. Now that we got the basic keybinds, let's go into the items itself. Something I wish I knew beforehand is that the furnaces are actually where you sell your ore, so keep that in mind. So if we go to press F on our keyboards, it brings up a shop. In a shop there are 6 categories you can choose from: conveyors, droppers, upgraders, furnaces, miscellaneous, and crystals. Conveyors is where you can find all the equipment needed to transport your ore. Feel free to experiment with conveyors and figure out what they do. Droppers are where you can produce ore. The machines get it somehow. It's the company's secret more than public knowledge. The more expensive it gets, the higher the ore sells. Just beware, the industrial droppers will need coal droppers to be fueled. The upgraders are where you can improve the quality of the ore. Some are single use, some can be used up to a certain number, and others have no known limits. Now here we get the furnaces. It is where you can sell your ore at. Just beware that the cell furnaces are meant to have droppers directly dropping ore into, which is a common mistake that beginners use, including me. And then we get to the miscellaneous, where there are decorations and the stamina enhancer. We used to have ore duplicator, but it's no longer being sold for reasons. And finally, we get to the crystals. That is where you get your special limited time machinery. We do encourage collecting them. Now that we've gone through the shop, let's make some starter setups that you guys can use. So let's get started. So you'll need 2 conveyors, 4 basic droppers, 2 basic upgraders, 3.4 enhancers, and 1 basic furnace. So how to make it is you place down this furnace here, and then you start adding on the upgraders. So you can put 2 basic upgraders over here, and then you can put 3 fine point enhancers over here. Just know that it's also like has a center conveyor in this, so, and you can put your 2 normal conveyors over here, and then finally you can put your droppers. And there you go. That's how you make this first setup, which makes a solid 14.71. Now for our second setup, you'll need 1 basic cell furnace and 4 basic droppers. And this is how you use cell furnaces properly. So here you put down cell furnace and put all around 4 basic droppers, and that makes more money than the first setup. And this setup makes $36. Now for the final setup, which honestly is one of my personal favorites, you'll need 1 basic furnace, 50 basic upgraders, 4 basic droppers, and 6 conveyors, 2 conveyor ramps, and your sanity. So you'll place down your basic furnace, and you'll start with your little like basic upgraders, and you just start like placing them down until you run out. And now usually this will take a while, so we'll speed it up for you guys. Now you'll get it to a point where you'll see like this, like, oh, how could I turn my ore around to face this way instead of that way? Because that way is just the grass. Well, good question, actually. So this is why we asked for like the conveyor ramps. So we'll place one right here and paste one here. Now this will be useful as then you can place conveyors over here, which will then face that way. No, you can place your extra over here. So yeah, let's continue placing down to 50. Alright, we got our 50 basic upgraders. Now let's continue on with the setup. And now we would want to place down our 2 conveyors and then our basic droppers. Let's place those down. And bam, you got a perfectly functional setup that is a bit chaotic. And this ore makes a whopping $102 from the setup. Now that we covered the basic setups, let's talk about loops. You can do a loop of teleporters and upgraders, which can physically loop the ore until it's valuable enough to sell. The company recommends using this technique. Here, let's look at a setup that you can use. So you see that I forgot to buy it. Well, let's use the limited items one. So usually it'll look similar to this, but in the shop, yeah, it's gonna be like one of these in a shop. So here we got my limited edition Lipcon teleport sender, and so the senders is where you can put your ore in. It's an input, and this is an output. So the receivers are where you like teleport, like the end of where you teleport your ore. So hopefully I'm explaining this right. Wait, so if I were to use these faster conveyors, and I can explain the concept over here. So basically it'll create a loop. So let me demonstrate with a dropper. And so it'll start to drop, you see, and it starts to loop. You can use this if you put like an upgrader of some sorts. It'll start to loop in. It'll start to like go through the upgrader, which then it would be upgraded enough. Yes, you can see that it's starting to reject the ore, and now you can delete this, and it also acts as something you could sell. So yeah, so that's basically the basics of looping. Now finally, let's talk about rebirthing. You can rebirth after reaching a certain requirement in cash. If I pull B here, you can rebirth after reaching a certain requirement in cash, and once you rebirth, you would gain 5 LC and get a new permanent reborn item, which are godly in terms of good. However, you would lose all your shop items and cash. Basically back to square one. Though items from the crystal section don't get removed, and you get to keep those items per company policy. Look at here. For example, if you one of these like items you can get from rebirthing is like stuff like this or this, and stuff you can keep, for example, is like event items like all of these that I'm putting on display. Yeah, so items like these don't get removed from your inventory if you rebirth, and these items is what you can get when rebirthing. Of course, there are more items that you can get from rebirthing than these two, because, well, you can see I already rebirthed 3 times. So yeah, so basically these items get to keep, these items you get, and you can keep. Thank you for watching the Oretoria Mining Company training tape, and now make us money!